webinar about the Better Building Initiative with the Department of Energy. My name is Shomoy Marshall, and I'm the Digital Director here at Business Forward. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we are a Washington-based organization whose goal is to help business leaders advise Washington on how to generate jobs and accelerate the nation's economic recovery. I'm thrilled today to introduce you to Maria Vargas, Director of the Department's Better Buildings Challenge, U.S. Department of Energy, and Kathleen Hogan, Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Energy Efficiency at the Department of Energy. Reminder that this call is off the record and not for press purposes. There will be a time at the end for you to ask questions at the end of the presentation. If you'd like to ask a question, please add it in the questions section on the below in the control panel. Or you can also email info@businessforward, that's businessfwd.org. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Kathleen.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm Kathleen Hogan, the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Energy Efficiency, being joined by Maria Vargas, who's leading our Better Building Challenge here. And it's great to have the opportunity to present to you today sort of an update on the Better Building Challenge, which is now 3 years old. So it's going to be great to highlight for you what it is we've been able to accomplish in 3 years, as well as to share some of the results from the recent Better Building Summit that we held here in the D.C. area in the last couple of weeks, and to show you the types of things that leaders across the country are pulling together to bring real results to their own organizations, and to show you how you can link in to some of the great approaches these organizations are using. But let's just get started with why it is we're doing all of this work with the Better Building Challenge. So as we think back to the way that we use energy in this country and to the opportunities to save energy, we've certainly had some great help looking at those opportunities through the McKinsey group that did this great analysis in 2009. And what they've shown is some really important savings opportunities in our industrial sector, commercial, and residential, that really is on about 20% on average in terms of the energy that we use in this country. So when you do look at these sectors, and you look at it all together, we see that we spend about $600 billion a year to power our homes, plants, and buildings, and typically we can get about 20% in savings in our buildings and industries. So that really adds up to a tremendous amount of savings. And of course, when you look nationally, you see there's a lot of other benefits we get as well: jobs, environmental improvement, and enhanced competitiveness. So just real win-win-win opportunities. But it's also, interesting that as we see these opportunities, why isn't it that people are just taking advantage of these? And what we see is, any number of barriers stop organizations from being able to just easily get these savings. And it includes things like energy efficiency, these energy savings approaches, really just not being included in corporate decision-making, as an example, or senior management buy-in isn't quite there. Sometimes it's just lack of information, because we all know that there are businesses out there trying to sell us things around certain products, but it's sort of hard for organizations to know which product is really right for them. So sometimes there's the need for just unbiased, good performance information. Sometimes it's high hurdle rates. Certainly there's need for access to financing and ways to engage some of the financial services in our country a little bit better. And also certainly we know there's issues when there's ownership is, sort of tenant-landlord issues, because sometimes the owner then can't reap the benefit of the improvements that they make. So clearly there's a bunch of barriers that are out there, but we also think most of these barriers can be addressed by working with leaders across the country And so that's really what we're about with the Better Buildings initiative. First, we do have a goal of working to capture that 20% savings that's out there. If we do that, we can save more than $80 billion annually across the country. And as I said, American jobs, energy security, and helping to mitigate impacts of climate change. So that's really what the Better Buildings Initiative is all about: leadership, results, and doing that in a way that's transparent enough and brings forward best practice models that others can grab them, use them, and we can really multiply the impact across the country. And clearly that's part of what this call is about, is trying to figure out how we can link you all with some of the models of success that are being demonstrated by the Better Buildings Initiative. So let me tell you just a little bit more about what's in the initiative. It's a broad set of strategies working to overcome these barriers. So it is working with market leaders, and you're going to hear a lot more about that this afternoon. But we've got some other things that are going on as well, working to improve the quality of some of the clean energy workforce. We've got some efforts underway to develop workforce guidelines and develop sort of the foundation for improved workforce training and certifications. We're doing a whole variety of things here at the department to improve the energy that is out there, to improve the information that's out there about making good decisions. We're developing sort of a new mile per gallon rating for commercial buildings and bringing new data together so we can better analyze the savings that we can achieve through some of our investment options. And of course, we've also done what we could to improve access to some of the federal incentives. And we also here are making sure that the federal government is also doing its part, leading by example. And one of the cornerstones to that effort is working to drive $4 billion of investment through energy performance contracting in federal buildings. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Maria Vargas, who, as I said, is the director of the Better Buildings Challenge, and she'll run you through some of the key milestones of the last 3 years. Maria.
Great. Thanks, Kathleen. Again, this is Maria Vargas. It's a pleasure to be on the phone with you all today. Want to just start, as Kathleen mentioned, the Better Buildings Initiative is 3 years old, and this slide just shows you a couple of the big milestones. This was a initiative that was kicked off by President Obama in 2011. He and former President Clinton launched the challenge, and we'll talk a little bit about what that is in a minute, but it is working with market leaders to try not only and have them set aggressive goals for their own facilities, but then step forward really as part of a leadership circle to share with the marketplace what it is they're doing in a way that's open and transparent and based on real results so that others can follow their example. And then based on the success we saw in the first year and a half with the 100 organizations that had stepped forward, President Obama included expanding the Better Buildings Challenge in the Climate Action Plan that he released. He also expanded the Better Buildings Initiative to include some specific areas of focus where, as Kathleen mentioned, we have persistent barriers that just sort of are gnarly and need concentrated effort and work with the marketplace stakeholders to try and address. And those are energy data, performance contracting, and some work on industrial energy efficiency. And then, as Kathleen mentioned, just a couple weeks ago, we wrapped up the first large national Better Buildings Summit in May. So if we can go to the next slide. At the summit, that we had over 500 folks attending, and really this summit was designed to allow these leaders in different market sectors, the organizations that we're working with in the commercial arena, the organizations in the manufacturing sector, cities, counties, and state leaders, as well as organizations that own and operate multifamily residential housing, to sit down and talk to each other and truly figure out what are the emerging needs, what are the opportunities, what are they doing that works. And it was an incredibly dynamic 3 days with lots of working sessions. And you can see listed on the slide just some of the working sessions that organizations participated in. And they were really focused on looking forward and not only embracing solutions that some organizations have tried and had remarkable success with, but really looking at emerging technologies, emerging innovative solutions and financing tools, as well as some specific opportunities in each sector. So just to give you an overview of the challenge and where we are, as I mentioned, organizations who step forward in the challenge agreed to do a couple things in working closely with the Department of Energy. One is set a portfolio-wide energy reduction goal of 20% over 10 years. You can see that aligns very nicely with the President's goal. But then also they agree to showcase what's possible on the kinds of buildings that they own and operate. So hospitals are showing us the kinds of energy efficiency reduction measures that are possible and cost-effective in their organizations, grocery stores, retail stores, schools, you get the idea. And then organizations are also sharing with us some of the things they've done within their own organization to make energy efficiency a priority across their organization. And these implementation models or playbooks are designed to be shared with the marketplace with the hope that as these leaders share these tools, others in the marketplace avail themselves of these, and as a nation we are able to accelerate our deployment of energy efficiency. So just a quick rundown of the list, about 190 partners, it's about 3 billion square feet. We have a number of organizations that are major U.S. manufacturers that have also contributed manufacturing plants to be part of the challenge, and then about 70 projects that organizations have done across different kinds of building types, and the playbooks we'll talk about in a minute. Just to let you know what it is we're seeing after about 3 years is that these partners are very much on track. On average, they're seeing about a 2.5% annual improvement in energy intensity and savings of upwards of $300 million in savings. So the next slide is a nice distillation of sort of who it is. I know it's a lot of logos, but it's a nice distillation of who it is that we're working with in the marketplace. Lots of familiar names, everyone in the retail sector from Kohl's and Walgreens and Walmart and Best Buy to organizations in the real estate market, the manufacturing sectors, hospitals, hotels, a very nice diverse range of people. And the next slide sort of allows you to see that we're diverse in a number of ways, not only in the sectors that are participating in the challenge, but the size of the organizations that participate. And then we have a number of organizations that work with us that are geographically based too. And so we not only have large and small, but we have organizations from throughout the country that are working with us. And that's really by design and by intent and by hope, because what we're trying to do in the challenge is have enough different kinds of organizations participating and leading the way in the challenge so that the models of success and the results they share have applicability broadly across the marketplace, so that if you're an organization that's doing work and owns buildings in the United States, the hope is that you find someone in the challenge, and hopefully more than one kind of organization, who has the kind of buildings you do, so that what they've been able to do in their organization is applicable to you. So the next slide is just, again, just a little bit of a deeper dive on the showcase projects we have. Again, like the partner base, showcase projects are in large and small buildings. They're in all different kinds of sectors and all different kinds of buildings. And then the implementation models was something in particular we wanted to share with you on the phone today, and it's the kind of playbooks. It's what we're asking our partners to do, and what's so exciting about those that we're working with in the challenge is that they've stepped forward to talk about not only the barriers that they've faced, but then being honest about what it took with their organization to overcome those barriers. And as you can imagine, if you go to the next slide, the barriers that organizations face vary dramatically. Some of the solutions and some of the barriers are cross-cutting. So I just, for the purpose of today's, lump these in 4 broad categories. But, you know, organizations have barriers that have to do with finance. How do we pay for this? How do we do it? How do I set aside funds? How do I commit the funds? How do I make that happen in real time? Other issues that organizations are faced with often are around getting the right data as a basis for making smart decisions and how to fold that data into strategic energy management. And then other opportunities and real interesting work is being done around how you engage employees and customers around the work that you're doing to make your organization, your buildings more sustainable. And then some of them are sort of interesting to me, and I sort of call them organizational hurdles, but they're really, it's a nice catch-all for some of the findings that our partners have had which really make energy efficiency work in their organization, whether it's working with and across the organization. So how do you engage both your CFO office, your building managers, and your people who are running your buildings together to drive efficiency throughout your organization. So I showed these to you. These are all available on the Department of Energy's Better Buildings Challenge website. If you are interested in what different organizations have done and the tools and the results that they've found by deploying these, that's one of the things that we're trying to get broadly out to the market through the Better Buildings Initiative. I think one other thing, if you'll go ahead, that we are finding very interesting as we work with our partners in the Better Buildings Challenge is some of the synthesis and some of the lessons that we're learning from our partners about what it takes to make energy efficiency work and overcome those barriers that Kathleen talked about in the beginning. And these are those 5 lessons. We're calling this sort of the 5 habits of energy efficiency leaders. And you can see we've highlighted organizations that have done work, and we're profiling on our website that indicates what it is that they've done. So just real quickly, one of the things we know is that unless organizations set a goal, they'll never, or it's much harder to drive systematic, long-term, and sustainable change and commitment to energy efficiency. We know that data matters, understanding. It's hard to manage what you're not measuring, and so the data is a very important part of driving greater efficiency. One thing we also know is that the solution is broader than technology. So oftentimes some of the cost-effective 20%, 30% savings that Kathleen referenced in the beginning comes not only with technology, but really using the technology that are in our buildings already correctly and making sure that we're not wasting energy by leaving lights on when no one's there and things like that. Another thing we know it's true, and we've seen this over the decades of work we've been doing on energy efficiency, is that it really takes an energy champion. Many of you in your organizations know this is true really to get anything done, but what I sort of see as I talk to partners is that it really takes an organization, a person or a team of people who really take it on to make this happen, and that's really when it does, is when that person or set of people are empowered to make these kinds of changes throughout their organization. And then what's interesting about all the partners that we're working with is that they constantly evolve, and as you can imagine, I'm sure that's something all of you do to keep your businesses as robust as they are. The evolution, the constant learning and changing and figuring out what works, and that's really what we're trying to do in the Better Buildings Challenge, is not only share that learning among partners, but broadly within the market too. So the last couple of slides we have, I just wanted to bring you up to date on a couple of the most recent announcements that involve the Better Buildings Initiative and the Better Buildings Challenge. As many of you may know, on May 9th, President Obama was out in California talking about a number of initiatives that this administration has around solar, renewable, and energy efficiency. And it was at that event that he highlighted a number of not only the accomplishments of the Better Buildings Challenge, but some of the new partners and ways we're expanding the initiative. So just quickly, here's a list of the 30-plus organizations that recently joined the Better Buildings Challenge. A great set of names that you can see really does cross sectors, as we've been talking about. So you have multifamily owners like Balfour Beatty and Capital Crest Housing, but also some large American firms like General Mills, General Motors, Walmart, Hilton, and then some smaller organizations and some cities and states and industrial partners as well. We also are hearing from our partners, and we're very cognizant of the Department of Energy about the interest in water and how water effects is closely tied with the energy use in our buildings. And so we've asked our Better Buildings Challenge partners who was willing to step up and work with us in a water savings pilot. And that was another one of the announcements that the President made, who it is that's working with us to understand better the opportunities and how to enable organizations to save on not only energy but water. And then finally, we launched a new accelerator. It's an accelerator that really has defined as its mission to drive greater efficiency in outdoor lighting and trying to understand the barriers to making this lighting more widely used and working with cities moving forward to try and understand those and get that out to the marketplace. So my last slide is really what's next. So it's a pleasure, again, to be on the phone with you today. We are interested in working with any of you who are interested in working with us on the challenge. We are interested in working with partners, organizations, businesses to accelerate energy efficiency in key sectors. A couple things we're thinking about here at the Department of Energy is working in additional areas like data centers. We mentioned the high-performance outdoor lighting. We are interested in doing some more work with cities and in the water and wastewater. And if there are other areas that folks think we should be teeing up or thinking about, please don't hesitate to let us know. We invite all of you to stay informed and please stay as at least followers of the Better Buildings Challenge. We encourage you to avail yourself of some of the work that the partners in the challenge are doing. And most importantly, we would love any of you on the phone who are interested in joining us in the challenge to please do so. It is a pleasure to get to work with committed organizations, and if you are interested in stepping up and working with us and profiling the work that you're doing to drive greater efficiency and willing to share that with the marketplace, we would be delighted to work with you. And my contact information is on the last slide. And again, on behalf of both Kathleen and myself, just want to say thank you for everyone who's joined the call today. I know Alyssa's been writing down questions on so that we can try and address some of the questions you have. Our hope is to do more webinars and drill down specifically in different areas where we're working with the marketplace to drive greater efficiency and the solutions that we're seeing and the results that organizations are sharing with us. So stay tuned. The first one of those is June 5th, and so we're looking forward to working with profiling. For the June 5th, it's really going to focus on the commercial sector. So hospitals, hotels, retail stores, office buildings, banks, etc. And that'll be the first, that'll be the next webinar in the series. And then I also wanted to make sure that folks knew that on our website we have presentations from the working sessions at the summit if folks are interested in partners, what partners shared about what it is they're doing, the opportunities that they're seeing in greater efficiency. So with that, I'll stop and we'll answer some questions.
Great. Thank you so much. That was incredibly informative. Again, I put the link there to the Better Buildings Challenge website there in the chat menu. If you have any questions, please write them down in the questions box there where I've been corresponding with you. And I'll let Kathleen moderate the question and answer portion of the webinar. Thank you so much.
Great. So we have gotten some good questions, a couple of them in really the small business area. One would be, what could a small business provide for these projects? And the other is what's being done to support small businesses that have very innovative projects that might, or technologies that can save more than 50%, and particularly focusing on the incumbent HVAC that's out there and how it's not really that innovative. So again, what I would be suggesting is, just send us a note in terms of the technology areas that you think you've got some good ideas. We have been particularly focused on HVAC. One of the big topics at the summit was around something we call our rooftop challenge, where we had been working to get information on technologies that can improve the energy use of the vast number of rooftop units across the country by 50% or more. So again, if you've got other ideas of places where there are those types of gains to be had, where we could mount sort of a specific technology challenge or such, please send us a note. Certainly another question we had was just on the website itself, which is in the chat, but just for your benefit, it's pretty easy to remember, energy.gov/betterbuildingschallenge, so pretty easy to find. Let's see. Oh, so we're getting a question on our workforce development project. And the workforce development, so I didn't speak that much about our workforce work, but we are developing sort of the knowledge, skills, and abilities, sort of the foundation piece to training and accreditation around 5-ish job categories that have to do with being a sort of an energy manager, being a retro commissioning practitioner, and the question is, why aren't we doing building energy modeling? That is certainly something we can consider, but it does sort of take us down a different path from some of the foundation work we're doing now, but certainly something we can consider for the future.
And then there's another question, are we looking at technologies developed in other countries? We are, and we are interested in sort of what our partners are using. One of the things that I want to make sure, because it was embedded in the small business question as well, was we are interested, 20% savings in a building, as Kathleen mentioned, is an average number, and it is something that's certainly cost effective. Our partners in our showcase projects are demonstrating savings well in excess of 20%. We have 20, 30, 40, 50, even 60% savings in the work that a lot of our partners are doing. And the partners are wonderful gateways in terms of new technologies and new ideas and innovative solutions. And so we are, absolutely open to understanding what technologies organizations are working. And really our goal, I think, over time is to profile the innovative work which is taking the energy savings into the 30, 40, 50, 60% range as partners understand and really deploy the most energy efficient solutions in the marketplace.
So another question, and I think this goes to how we track the results of the Better Buildings Challenge partners. There's a question about are there plans to link data with Energy Star? And certainly we do that. I think a number of our partners are using the EPA tool, Portfolio Manager, to benchmark their buildings, and to the extent partners are using Portfolio Manager, they are then using that data to send over to the DOE to demonstrate the results across their portfolios as part of demonstrating their progress toward the challenge. So that's great. Of course, not all of our the Better Building Challenge partners are using that tool for whatever reason. So we also take data on an energy use per square foot as an example basis from the systems that those companies would be using to sort of track their building energy use themselves. And of course, this program is well coordinated with the EPA program, Energy Star, and is sort of a very sort of complementary addition to what EPA has been doing for quite a while with the Energy Star program. And actually, both Maria and I know that quite well, having been sort of former participants in the development of those efforts.
For decades.
For
yes.
decades, exactly.
And this is Maria, and part of the reason that working with Portfolio Manager and coordinating with EPA is useful for a whole variety of reasons, but not the least of which is that then giving the data to the Department of Energy to support the results they're seeing, that can be done very easily in a sharing of Portfolio Manager data, and so it makes it very easy on our partners to not have to recreate data or spreadsheets. So it works out very nicely. We're working very closely with EPA, as a matter of fact, on the expansion of Better Buildings to include multifamily residential housing, as EPA is considering and working to have portfolio managers support the rating of that particular building type. We're working very closely with them and our colleagues at HUD, as well as our colleagues at other government agencies, to make it a seamless federal effort so that we're all unified in our approach and desire to make energy efficiency as straightforward and workable as we can in the marketplace.
I think there's another question on sort of intelligent building operations. And certainly, you know, we are interested in sort of both the organizational approaches companies take to get to energy savings, as well as any sort of systems or technology approaches that they get there. You know, one of the reasons that the challenge includes an element of a showcase building is so that we can really profile the types of technological solutions people are using to get to significant energy savings, and again, across a broad portfolio of building and facility types. And that's the kind of place where you might see intelligent building operation systems be profiled. But so certainly we see that can be an important part of achieving these types of results. There's another question around Better Building Challenge and guidance to NGOs working with sustainable schools. We certainly have a lot of tools here at the department through the Better Building Challenge and other places on high performance schools that can be part of that. So again, just please take a look at the DOE website. And certainly if there's something missing, just let us know.
And we do have a number of school districts.
And we have a number of school districts that are part of the Better Building Challenge as well, both big and small, that people can see what it is they're doing to get to these types of savings. There's another question about saving energy and monitoring indoor air quality. Certainly, you know, we know it's important to have high quality buildings. I think that's one of the places, I mean, that when you have high performance buildings, it's important to have buildings with good indoor air quality as well. Certainly that's an important focus in our residential programs, Building America, where we're doing a lot of work around how to maintain both of those things at the same time. And we are sort of working, again, this is a great place where we're in partnership with EPA on the indoor air quality issues.
Great. Well, thank you so much. A lot of really great questions today. And again, these presentations will be made available after in the follow-up. And if you are interested in further information, check out the website, and also feel free to contact info@businessfwd.org, and we'll put you in contact with the Better Building. I'm sorry. I have been screwing this up. It's
That's
just like,
all right.
I just want it to be even better than it is, which I don't know how that could be possible. But we'll put you in contact with these great people here at the Department of Energy. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for participating. We'll be having webinars in the future. And if you have other further questions, feel free to reply to the email invitation that you received or to the follow-up email that we send. Again, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day, Maria and Kathleen, so much. I think this was really incredibly informative, and looking forward to seeing what's next.
Great, thank you. Thank you all.